So I've been putting together a killer, super flashy storage server, and a lot's gone wrong. So I want to take a break from doing that and talk about something that has gone pretty right, and that is the setup that we have for our HomeLab AI rig. And we're going to expound, and I'm going to show you some new things that you probably should do if you're interested in getting the most bang for the buck out of a system like this. So of course, this is a quad GPU setup with quad 3090s, 256 gigabytes of RAM, and I showed you how to put all of this together in a video recently. You can find all that in the history on this channel. While you're down there, hit like and subscribe if you're interested in this kind of content. So I've taken you through the steps up to this point to get your Proxmox installed. I even showed you how to pass through and set up in detail everything you need to for your LXC containers to share GPUs. That allows you to have multiple GPUs used by multiple different systems at the same time. Really cool. And today we're going to take it even a step further than that, and we're going to look at some of the changes I've made and some of the new additions that I think you're going to be interested in our setup. And we're going to be using, of course, Open WebUI and Ollama. So taking a look at some of the changes that I've made, let's start by looking at dockage. So you can see that I've actually split out the individual containers. So instead of running a Ollama and Open WebUI all in one, we now have Ollama and Open WebUI separated. Let me show you what those differences look like on the YAML side for your Docker Compose. So for the Open WebUI, you can see that I basically removed the operator that said to download the Ollama integrated system into it. So you can still see we've got port 7000 here, and that's internally at 8080. Now Ollama over here now is running very well actually, and it is on 11434 for the port. And if you check here, it's got all the GPU capabilities assigned to it directly now. So if you do it like this, this will give you flexibility to have other things talking to your Ollama also. And we're going to take a look at some of those things here in just a few seconds. As you can see, they all share the same external and internal networks, so they can all communicate with each other here, which is very important because it is very hard to troubleshoot Docker networking. You can come back and tighten it down later if you have security concerns, of course, but this is running kind of a little bit in a scenario where I'm not concerned about it, because at the firewall, I don't have any of these ports forwarded. So all this traffic is staying internal right now. What you need to change here is going over to settings in your Open WebUI, go to your admin account. And from here, let's see if I can make this a little bit easier for you to see. That's pretty good. So from here, go down to your connections, and then you're going to specify your port, which is that 11434. Make sure you hit the verify connection, and you should get a verified connection when you have that set up. This allows you to split things out very nicely between the containers, and you can check the link in the description below that will give you access to my config YAMLs, so you can just copy and paste those right in. Your models also, you need to change this directive right here so that it says the specific IP address and 11434 for that. After you do this, you're going to need to re-download the models. So you may want to delete the models you have so you can save some space, and then re-download the models so that they're appropriately living in the Ollama instance, or in the Ollama side of the container and not in the Open WebUI side of a container. So that can save you a lot of space also. If you hit on update models, it'll pull the manifests and verify that everything you have is correct. The next big change that we've made here is if you go down to web search, you can see that we've got a web query SearXNG. This is really cool. This is really cool. So if you take a look here at the SearXNG query URL, now this is weird the way I had to set it up. I'm not sure if there's a bug in the software or not, but I actually have it disabled here, but I have a function installed, and I'm going to show you that function here because that's pretty important. You also need to make sure that bypass SSL verification for websites is also checked as well. But you can see that I've got the port 7777 specified here. Now, if we come back over, let me go back down here for just a second. I'm going to show you that SearXNG configuration. And it is a bit more complex, but it is not something to be really intimidated about. And 7777 is the externally mapped port. So you can see that this URL here hits this over here. Now, this is really cool for a couple of reasons. So if we just go here real quick and go to this web address, you can see that I've got digital space search. So I've got my own internal search engine, and it's really good. Kittens that are long-haired. I do like my long-haired kittens, and we're going to test out some visual recognition software also with this very soon. And you can see this is really powerful. SearXNG has won me over 100% as far as locally hosted search engines. Now, I do plan on creating a AI integrated search engine at some point, but that looks like SearXNG is going to be a base level for that. So we'll be sure to take that approach here shortly. And you can see that it actually pulls from so many different places: Quant, Brave, Google. It's got cache versions available. It's got settings up here where you can adjust all of these things. It is really cool. I didn't really mess around with it too much and adjust very many of these. So this is a pretty standard setup that I've got here right now. But definitely something that you should consider. You can even upload your own little icon. So your internal household search engine can be specified also in Brave. Now, there are some things you're going to want to change. If you look here, you can see that we have not secured currently for this website. That means you got to jump through some hoops. Eventually, I'll have this set up with a caddy in front of it as a different container that'll handle the SSL generation so that we can have a secured access to this, and that'll actually be a lot better for us. And then we'll just need to update that over here from HTTP to HTTPS. Do pay attention to that. I did not pay attention to that for a little while, and it definitely caused me some problems. I was wondering what was going on. As well, this container does have Redis integrated into it, technically Valkey, which is the open source variant of that. And I did make a couple of changes to that. So the max size I changed from 1 meg to 4 megs. That might be something you're interested in doing as well. And down here, I changed this from 1 meg to 4 megs also. And you don't need to adjust any of these other settings. There could be some more stuff that we change here at some future point in time to get a better Redis setup. I can see myself separating Redis out of this, and I think that'll give me better performance, and it'll allow me to have the Redis kind of share a cache between two different locations, because part of having each one of these services separated is having the ability for me to have a computer on or shut a computer down. The new server that you're seeing will be a always on 24/7 365 server, but the quad GPU system will only be on during specific times of day. So it'll automatically come on, automatically go off. I don't really do entailed stuff in the middle of the night, so it doesn't really need to be on right during that time. Also, we have Tika here, and this needed to be installed. I can't exactly tell you why, but it does have to do with document processing. Let's take a look at the document processing settings that I have here. So we have Ollama set as embedded search model engine. I have hybrid search actually turned off. You may want to turn hybrid search on. I didn't see it actually working as a hybrid search, so I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments below if you know, though, because I would be excited about that. There are a lot of embedding models. If you don't know what an embedding model is, it takes documents and text and stuff like that, eats it up and puts it into a vector database. The vector database is then considered in what you're querying in the user interface of Open WebUI. Insanely cool stuff. I'm using the Nomic embed text latest. There could be better ones out there. I will definitely check the comments below to see if you have anything that's better. For what I can say, this does work pretty darn good. And if you look here for the settings that we again have HTTP. Eventually we'll get that to HTTPS here. That'll be probably a dedicated Caddy video, because Caddy is not actually that hard, but just walking through it the first time and seeing an end-to-end scenario could be really helpful for y'all. And we've got 9998, which if we come back over to, let me minimize this really quick, our Tika container, you can see that we have port 9998 and port 9998 here. And of course, we have that internal networking shared there as well. And so this allows it to communicate to that vector storing database engine. From the engine dropdown, you would need to select Tika instead of default, and this allows you to process. I also changed just a couple of settings. I changed chunk overlap to 200 and chunk size to 2000. Now, I did also put PDF extract images, OCR, to on here. You can mess with your RAG templates if you are not happy with the quality, but I haven't gotten fully into understanding that, so I don't want to present that information to you until I know better myself what's going on there. This separates out each service as a separate container in our Dockage, which is of course powered by Docker and gives us really good control over everything. And that allows us to have really, really great results when we're searching. So let me talk really quick about the functions that use this that you need to enable, so you can see the next step of this is going towards getting it into the model. So the model doesn't know about these things until you tell it, hey, these things exist. And where do you do that? So we'll start there. If you go to one of your models that you have from your workspace setup, you're going to need to be the administrator to get here, and click the little pencil icon. You can come down and you're going to see a section that's tools, filters, actions, and capabilities. All of these things have essentially functions or valves attached to them that you can enable. And this means that the model can use it. Some models are going to be better than others. Quinn 2.5 is freaking awesome because it seems to be able to handle like all of this, like really, really good. So you'll see here, I have all of these enabled for the Quinn 2.5 latest that I have here. If we go over to our tools, you can see that I've got a couple of tools here. So how do you get tools installed? Let's talk about that really quick. So if you go to Tools Discovery here, you can see that you're going to have basically a lot of models that are in this dropdown. A lot of tools are over here. You can kind of scroll up and down if you wanted to. You could click See All, for instance, if you're interested in doing that as well. This website is kind of slow. It is actually very slow, to be honest with you. But let's say that there's something that you wanted to install. So we've got Web Search over here installed. So Web Search, you can see that here. And then I've also got Import Date with a little bit of customization that I'm going to show you also. So where is date? I think I actually searched for date. So we might do a little search for date here. There it is. And once you have it, you can click on Get. And it's going to ask you to sign up for the Ollama community. Once you've done that, it's going to allow you to automatically pull in the config file so you have access to it. So I would recommend going that way of doing it. You can just take a look at the actual code here if you wanted to, and I will show you how to map that if you wanted to just copy paste it. You could copy the code here, come over here, click on the little plus thing and select all of that, then paste it in, and your toolkit ID that you're going to grab is going to be this one here. So import date. And since I already have it, I'm not going to hit save. And then for the name of it, you could just copy that right there and change that. So that would give you the ability to query your local system and get the time and date, which is important to you. So of course you would hit save. I'm not going to hit save because I've already got that, but I am going to take you through looking what my import date is here. I did make a couple of alterations to this, which you might be interested in doing yourself. So I added these pieces of the string time here. So I've got %i colon %m space %p comma and %z. So it knows like time zone, it knows hour, it knows date, it knows location, and it's all accurate to where I'm at. So really cool. And once you enable that and you enable it inside your model, then you can ask it things like, what is the date and time? And it'll tell you what the date and time is. Next, we're going to take a look at the web search. So the web search is going to use that SearXNG, and it's going to rely on it. Now, you don't configure it in the code, but you configure it through its valve. And so if you click over here on the little icon, that's a valve. And its valves will give you the ability to set custom information here. So for instance, maybe I want to return 3 out of 5 scraped pages. So it's going to search the web, it's going to consume the information, and then it's going to return that many. So you can see that I've got 5 for the number of pages to scrape and 3 for the number of pages to parse and return. I'm going to actually adjust that up to 5 also. The word limit I've got set to 10,000. That might be actually a little bit high, so let me know if you think that's high. I've been concerned that that could be, but at the same time, I have been having a great result with it, so maybe it's not. Citation links. If you want to have the websites where the information was queried and what information was queried from them available, make sure to have that turned on there. Next, you can set ignored websites. So if there's certain websites you don't want to search, you don't want to consider, you could specify them there in a comma separated list. And again, here you're going to see the URL base that we have, which is the 192.168.1.70 and the :7777. So you can click save after you adjust those valves. Some things will not have valves. So for instance, the import date does not have valves. So once you have those things set up, now you can query the date and time, and it can be aware of what your time zone is, and you can have your web search working so you can ask questions about pages on the internet, for instance, and you can even also ask it things that are up to date, like was there recently something big that happened in North Carolina? Next, let's look at functions. So you can see that I've got 2 functions running here. One is the dynamic vision router. This basically gives your model the ability to see and process, and the other is visualize data. Visualize data is the capability of presenting charts and even like a little sidebar kind of thing, which is pretty freaking cool in my opinion. And of course, those are going to be available from the Open WebUI site also. So you can go to functions if you want to browse through all of those. These things really do like enhance your capabilities. If you want to get closer and closer to cutting edge state of the art, this is how you do it. And so if you check your functions here, it's going to list things like your new functions, and it'll even give you things like emotion filters. There's so many things I haven't even played with yet, but definitely on the to-do list. Now let's take a look at the valves for these functions. So the dynamic vision router, this is a different model. So you're going to be running multiple models. You might be running an embed, you might be running a vision model, you're going to be running your LLM main model that's accessing all these others. So this is where having a lot of VRAM can become important. So of course, make sure that everything can fit into the amount of available VRAM that you've got. Of course, I've got a ton of VRAM. So running something like an 8B model with an FP16 is totally doable here. And you can see that I'm using the mini CPM model for mine. And you can find all of these on the Ollama website. And you're going to need to specify that here. You will need to specify that here. Next, the status, you need to check that to enabled. It won't come enabled by default. What does this give you the capability to actually do? Let's jump in and take a look. So again, I've got all of those functions enabled. They're all communicating to all these containers. We've got ourselves a crazy cool thing that we're building here. So once you do that, you're going to need to come over here and click on the plus. And we're going to do the import date and the web search function. And I'm going to also go ahead here and upload a file of my adorable kitten and ask it, what is pictured in the attached file here? And it's going to route that. You see how it says it's routing it to mini CPM. So this other model is now being called by our Quinn 2.5 model. And it's basically communicating back and forth. Hey, what's in this picture? And mini CPM is going to return a summary of what it sees in the picture to Quinn 2.5. Freaking awesome, right? It does take just a few minutes for that to kick up the first time because, of course, that is a FP16, so it's a little bit larger of a model. Yes, and you can see how accurate it is. The attached file shows a picture of a black kitten with blue eyes. The context is an image, and the user query asked for what's pictured in it. The attached files show a black kitten with blue eyes standing next to a reflective surface. It was standing on tile when we had that picture taken, possibly indoors. It was in the bathroom because it was just a baby kitten, near a window as suggested by the light and reflection on the background. Actually, that part is not 100% accurate. That is a door that was overexposed in the background, but it did get the blue eyes and a black kitten. And it knew it was a kitten, which is really cool. Like, it didn't say a cat, it said a kitten. And it was able to recognize the eye color. So freaking awesome. Not only that, I've actually been taking pictures of like random hardware on my phone, because you can use Open WebUI on your phone. You know that, right? You can use that on your phone in the web mobile view, and you can actually walk around and have conversations even with it and ask it to do things like take a picture. Like, what do you see? Take a picture. Freaking sweet. Very freaking sweet. You also can visualize data, but there's nothing to visualize here. But that does bring up a ability that you'll see with that little connection right there. So you can even have the visualization of data also. So there are some things that I think you definitely want to do to get up to speed with where I'm at. If you've got questions about any of those specifically that I didn't cover in the video, drop them in the comments below and I'll be sure to get to them. Let's see, we can even ask it a question here. What is the date? And it'll be able to run that. So Monday, October 7th, 2024. So I got that right also. So everybody have a good rest of your day. Let's just work on making these even more powerful. Just wait till we integrate this into the house. Yes, integrate it into the house, turn it loose, let it run all of my connected devices. And I've got some really cool new audio devices that we're going to be testing also with that integration. So I hope you're excited for that. If you are interested in some of the history of how we got here, check the history in this channel, because I've got setup guides that start you from basically scratch, and we assembled everything. I show you how to install all the software. I show you how to configure it for pass-through properly, which is very hard to do if you are just guessing for the first time, for instance. Good luck in LXC, so that you can actually use your GPUs for multiple different things all at the same time. Super powerful and super cool. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.